Pregame.com.
Welcome back to Pregame.tv. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined by my partner in crime, Ken Thomson. Ken, you made 2-0 last week. Going to try to keep this streak rolling along with you. You're going to take a look at St. Louis and the Chicago Cubs on Saturday. We got to inject your St. Louis is coming off a big series with the Pirates. And you look at the three games, and you want to talk about how exciting I think this division is going to be between the Pirates, St. Louis, and the Reds are trying to play themselves back into contention, too, for the division. But Monday night, the Pirates just absolutely puked a game away. I mean, I was sick watching it. Dropped the fly ball in the ninth inning. You know, the game would have been over. I mean, it would have only been a second out, but nobody on base. Let St. Louis tie the game in the bottom of the ninth, lose it in 14 innings, and then they come back on Tuesday. And I felt that was a bad spot for the Pirates. If they would have lost that game, you know, St. Louis has all the momentum. The Pirates are suddenly on a 5-game, losing streak if they lose on Tuesday. But Lariano, off his worst start of the year, comes back and was just absolutely the nuts in that game, pitched a brilliant game, and they needed to go deep into the, with the starter in that game, because the 14-inning game, both managers knew how important that game was. They used everybody they had, all hands on deck, to try to get that win on Monday. And the Pirates needed a big performance, and they got it.
They did. And I'll tell you, as good a handicapper as I think I am sometimes, I look back when I make a mistake. And I made a total mistake on this because, like you, situational handicapper, when I saw Marte drop that ball and how it stayed with them, and then they get the 2-out hit to tie, and then they win it in extra innings, the Cardinals, I'm thinking right away, how do you rebound in a game like that when you're playing for first place, when they have a chance to put them away? And like you said, Liriano, coming off a 2-inning performance in Colorado where, and I know it's Colorado Coors Field. I don't care if they were playing at old Yankee Stadium or old Municipal Stadium in Cleveland. These balls that they were tagging Colorado, they'd have been out of any stadium. It was absolutely ridiculous. Double, homer, double, homer, double. He couldn't get anyone out. 10 hits, 10 runs, whatever it was, in 2 innings. It was just absolutely incredible. So right away, I jumped to conclusions, and I said, okay, no way St. Louis doesn't bounce back and take care of business the next day at home, forgetting all the while that they are one of the worst teams in the league against left-handed pitching. Liriano rebounded nicely, and I was on the wrong side, and I remembered right after, because Chuck, my partner, he goes, no, he goes, I'm on Pittsburgh. He goes, you may be on the right side situationally, but remember, the Cardinals are terrible against lefties, and I've gone against them many times this year. So sometimes you got to take your time and make sure that you do all your research. Don't just jump to conclusions. I'm just telling you that's what I did, and I made a stupid mistake.
No, I agree. Mentally, it was a bad spot for Pittsburgh. Now, we're taping on Thursday. The Pirates and St. Louis, finished up today's game. Right. Once again, Pirates jumped out 4-0. St. Louis comes back, takes a 5-4 lead. Game gets tied at 5. St. Louis squeezes the game out, wins it. Another big, that was a huge game for St. Louis because they did pick up a game off of Pittsburgh.
No, it's a 2-game sweep. They're either 4 back on to Chicago or they're 2 back. These are huge games. And if you had Pittsburgh first 5 innings, you're dying. You get 4 runs in the top of the 5th. They just lit up Lance Lynn. And then you come right back, and Burnett couldn't hold it, 5 runs. Then you get the 8th inning, 1-out home run from Martin to tie things up at 5. And then St. Louis eventually wins it on a base hit by Holiday up the middle. I watched the whole game today. So, again, a big victory because it keeps them right there within 2 games of Pittsburgh. Had the Pirates won and had a 4-game cushion, St. Louis would have had their heads held down going into Wrigley. And, again, even though the Cubs traded Soriano and their lineup is kind of weak compared, this is still a big rivalry, and the Cubs will always get up for the Cardinals.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a situation now that St. Louis, coming out of that Pittsburgh series, has got momentum now going out on the road. They're nipping on the heels of the Pirates, so you're going to get total focus from this team. And this St. Louis team, they know they can come from behind. Let's not forget what they did 2 years ago when they had that incredible, month of September. Probably the most exciting final day in baseball that I don't think it'll ever be duplicated, what we saw that year. And that's what ended up getting.
Remember Colorado Rockies, too, 22 out of 23 or whatever they won. That was another run.
For an individual team, yes. But I was referring to, if you remember that year, there was like four games all being played at one time.
Oh, yeah. The last day of the regular season, that was ridiculous. Yeah,
unbelievable. Hey, you know what? We've kind of teased about this one enough. It's your free pick. Let's make it official.
Let's do that. All right, and the rivalry, again, still one of the best in baseball. Love this rivalry. Now, initially, Edwin Jackson was listed as a starting pitcher, so I did all my preparation. Edwin Jackson, though, has pitched very, very well at Chicago at Wrigley Field. In fact, he's only allowed 2 runs in his last 20 2/3 innings, but he's not going to go. They're going to push him to Sunday, and they are instead going to go with Wood. Travis Wood is going to start this game. Now, Wood comes off a heartbreak loss. He had not pitched well up until that last loss against Cincinnati, gives up a 2-run homer to Brandon Phillips, and loses that tough game at home by a score of 2-0. But this is a situational play, and you know Marco's big on situational plays. I look for the momentum that St. Louis got with that matinee victory over Pittsburgh, head into Chicago. Could have a little letdown on Friday, but this is a Saturday game. I think they'll be refocused. Don't know what will happen Friday, but I think St. Louis goes in there. They still have that big brother mentality against the Chicago Cubs. Again, no Soriano, so what do you really have left? You've got Castro, you've got Navarro, who's hit well of late, you've got Rizzo, a couple of young guys, Lake and Murphy, not bad, potentially looking like they're going to get some time next year. But St. Louis, consistency at its best with that lineup. Who else could have shook up a 4-run deficit against Pittsburgh the way the Pirates were playing? And they did it with guys like Carpenter and Freese and Craig. Beltran, Holiday got the game winner. Jay. And the big thing, Yadier Molina back in the lineup today. So even though he didn't have a big game at the plate, still, just to have his presence there, his defense behind the plate, he's kind of like that main guy you look at and you feel like you've got your whole team for St. Louis. Now, Joe Kelly, he's been very sharp, especially on the road. His last 3 decisions, he's 3-0. How about his last 2 road starts? Very, very solid. In fact, in his last 3 road starts, 1 earned run in 17 2/3 innings, 11 strikeouts, but 9 walks, something he'll have to work on. Don't like a ratio like that, but I like the way Kelly's pitching. I'll look for him to take care of business. The Cardinals have won 5 of his last 6 starts, and again, he's UC Riverside. Who did I call basketball games for? The Highlanders of UC Riverside before Long Beach State. So a little UCR love there to Joe Kelly. They'll take care of business. I think they take 2 out of 3, maybe sweep the series, coming off that big win against Pittsburgh to pull within 2 games of the Buccos. That's my play on pregame.tv Saturday. Get on it. It's an early game. It's a 1 o'clock, I believe, Vegas start, but you want St. Louis. Joe Kelly, the ex-Highlander from UC Riverside, taking care of business against Travis Wood and the Cubs at Wrigley Field.
All right, great stuff, Ken. We're going to be right back. We're going shifting gears. We're going to football. Next 2 videos. Up next, we're going to take a look at the Green Bay Packers at St. Louis. That's going to be Ken's play. We'll be right back.